Don't you hate it when you think you know what you're talking about or what's going on, and then somebody goes and like moves the goalposts or like shifts the platform you're standing on, kind of everything becomes a bit like, what? Hey, guess what? Guess what I'm about to do? Alright, lads and lasses, welcome along. Weekend work. Query editor is one of them things that if you can start to understand what's going on within it, you can start to process the whole ETL side of Power BI, Excel, the whole Power Platform even, much more readily, right? M is a fantastic language. It is ridiculously simple. And yet from that simplicity, like a fractal, you can get great complexity out of it. The core message that you need to understand today, right, is that query editor, that you edit your queries in, that you build stuff, is a lie, right? It's not real. What you're doing is building an ETL script. So an extract, transform, and load script. That's going to take data from a source, apply some steps to it, yeah, and then output a table. But at no point in the query editor are you actually doing that really. It's going to do it with a subset of data. So some sample, a sample amount of data. It's not an issue per se, right? But it helps when you then understand that, especially when it comes to debugging when things go wrong. So let's go now into Power BI Desktop and see exactly what I mean. All right, so here we are. Power BI Desktop, right? This is food hygiene data. And what it is we've got a column heading that's not right. Okay, data type has changed. Or I've been fiddling and I've broke it. Right? It happens. This was part of the course development work I was doing. It's a sample file I was working through. Not a problem. What I wanted you to see though was because when I switched across to a different computer, I got a different error or got an error. So if I come over and through the transform data into here, right, what you see is I've got an error. Now, it's natural for you to think, wait, it's there, right? What do I do? Right? And oftentimes it's difficult to work out what you can do. If we come down to the bottom one, we can see we've got a go to error option, right? Which is great. Go to error shows us the errors here. So it's going to be in the step before it because it can't work this. So the issue is probably the step before, right? And we can see from it, we can tell it's going to be to do with file paths. Right? All of them, it's the same. So it's a slightly different folder name. Not a problem per se. Right? The core thing that this throws up though is getting to that point where you understand that if we go in here, in the advanced editor, right, and let's say I update this straight away. Let's just update this. Okay, so it's now correct, right? What you can see is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of code, yeah, and then a let and an in step or clause, right, or section, right? Let is like declare some variables. So we've got 4 variables that have been declared, right? And then in the final piece is where you're running something. So I've declared some variables, 4 of them for this, right? Now run it. So what do I run? Well, I need to run this remove columns. Right. Let's run remove columns. What does remove columns do? Remove columns tells you to remove the columns from the table. Oh, the change type table. So it's from another function. So I need to go back to that function, run that function, find out what happens. Right. That's going to call promoted headers. Right. So I need to do that. Right. Okay. It's natural when you see PowerQuery and when you first start PowerQuery to think PowerQuery is going from the top to the bottom. Okay. It's not. In practical terms, from the way Power BI and PowerQuery in general writes its code, it's going from bottom to top. Right? But you're not tied to bottom to top. You're tied to all the functions need to exist within the let statement so that they can be called. What do I mean? Right? So if I take the remove columns one, Control exit, right? Go back to the end of there and remove the comma because it'll break it if I leave it, right? Let's put that there, comma it. Okay, it's all going to work. The applied steps is mashed because the way Microsoft have written it is it's expecting when it does the validation to see them in chronological and sequential order, in the right order. And because it's not, you just end up with a table name, right? And if we expand here, you'll see all the steps are just in. It's just got the whole query stack in, right? Not a problem, right? It's all working for us. It's just not as easy for me to read and debug if I wanted to. So why does this even matter, you're saying, right? Generally, it doesn't, right? Generally, it's not an issue at all. But when it comes down to you getting more familiar with PowerQuery and actually what's going on within the engine that you're writing and within your queries, and in particular, if you ever have to come and debug stuff, and it's not as simple as just, oh, your folder paths are slightly different. It helps if you can understand or are aware as to actually what is happening at different steps and actually how it runs. One of the things that you will see, for example, is especially when you start doing massive data sets, especially, right, is you'll realize, well, that sample didn't cover everything, did it? It didn't actually cover all the examples or all the types of data that are in the column. So that's where errors come through. That's why when you do all this and you build it and then you hit load, right, and it loads, it comes back with a big load of errors. You go, why was that error? I don't understand, right? Being able to understand that it's not processing it now, we're building a script that's going to be run to actually then build my table when I run the script. At this point, we're writing the script and just got a little bit of sample data to play with. So what do you reckon then, right? Once you start to be aware that M is not a sequence going from top to bottom, but is effectively a single function that's being called. And then that single function is going to iterate through the other functions that are required to complete the first function that was called. It makes it easier. I know for me, I was doing all right. I knew kind of how to build. I could do this, copy and paste, edit little bits and pieces. Right? My confidence just went through the roof, man. When I realized actually what was going on, suddenly I could understand and read the M much easier because I understood it was a single function and it runs against, for most of the things you've got, a table, right? Because M will only ever really run against a few things, right? Most of the things it's going to run against are tables. So to run something against a table, you have to call a table. And that table you call, 9 times out of 10 in M is going to be another function, right? Or the result of another function, which means you have to go and do another function. But it fundamentally is tables being passed to tables. And if you can start to think through that and understand the constructs that are involved, your M will really benefit. And when your M benefits, your PowerQuery side goes. So if you like that, don't forget, like and subscribe down below. Yeah. Sign up on the website, become a member. We've got the free membership tier now, which you need to be in if you want to enroll on any courses with us. Right? But obviously, we appreciate any support people can offer us. For now, though, have a great weekend. Take care. Ta-da.